They say fortune favors the bold. So what are you waiting for? The right time? The right sign? The right guide? The thing is, movement maker, you were never meant to follow anyone else. You were destined for something bolder and braver and truer, and you know it. It's time for you to write your own damn permission slip. You have permission to dream big, not that you need it from us. Fortune favors the bold. So, what are you waiting for?
Yay!
Yay!
This music.
Good to
Here we
be
go.
with Sally.
We like to start and end with some dancing, as you know. How are you, Jeanne Hartfield?
Oh,
Yay!
yay. I'm so happy to be with you today. It's always a good day when I get time with Sally.
I feel the same way about you, Jeanne. And I just have to say, because this is so special to me and says so much about you, I think, the fact that I believe you were our first ticket buyer
I was.
last year. And I think you were our first ticket buyer this year, too. So
Yeah.
I feel like that deserves a round of applause and special recognition.
Does that
Amazing.
give you a clear message that I'm all in?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
And I love that so much. So just selfishly for a moment before we dive in, I'm so curious, like why are you all in on this? Like, tell me the connection that you feel with this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, to be honest, the first year, last year, I'm like, this sounds super cool. And I want to support my friend Sally. And I just want to see.
Yeah.
And then I got there, and it was such an amazing gathering of women, and the speakers were just like, ah, and frankly, some people that I didn't know before, but really spoke a message to me that I needed to hear and
Oh,
and to remember. And so then when it came around this year, I'm like, yes, please.
yes, please.
So
And there you
everybody,
did
get your
it.
tickets.
I mean, we'll just get our little ticker going at the bottom, November 15th.
Exactly.
So thank you for allowing this kind of self moment before we invite in more of your story and hear more about you. But it honestly means the world to Erica and I think this whole permission slip community doesn't commune without people
Yeah,
showing up. And
absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
so it truly means so much that you have and that you're going to again. It's amazing. I love knowing that you're there because you bring like there's a spirit about you that is
Mhm,
very unique to you. You're in one of my coaching programs, so
mhm.
we should be clear about
Yes,
that. We live near each other,
yes.
so that means every once in a while we get to like grab lunch or
Yep,
coffee. I think we're due for another one soon.
absolutely.
And so I've personally experienced this, not just at the conference, but I get to eke some Jeanne Hartfield spirit into me, with me from time to time. You are such a gift. And so let's start by hearing a little bit about you and what you do and why it's an intentional thing, this spirit thing. I mean, it's just in
Yeah,
you, but it's
it
also
is.
what you do.
Yeah, I've cultivated it over time,
Mhm.
yeah. I was laughing because I was flashing back, like, you've absolutely seen me where I'm just, like, my super centered presence, and I bring that to others, and you've also seen me in moments where I'm
Yeah.
like, "Ah!" when I
Yeah.
need to give myself permission to show up differently. So
Yes.
you've seen the gamut. I think, uh, for me, there's no question. I mean, some of my personality is, if people know the Enneagram, I'm an Enneagram 9, I'm a peacemaker, but it's really not just that. I have been very intentional, especially over the last, well, I'll say 10 years, right? 10 years ago, I went through breast cancer treatment, and in the aftermath of that treatment, I got really intentional about certain practices that help me live more centered, help me live grounded in what matters most, that help me find perspective, that help me shed, frankly, um, either lies that I was holding on to about myself or things that just were no longer true and no longer served. And
Mm.
so the more I've done that work, the more I feel like I operate in all contexts out of like this deep sense of knowing and confidence and security. And you know what? Frankly, like I really like myself and
Mm,
and what I bring
I
to the
love
table
that.
most of the time. And that's not always been true, but I'm learning to
Mm.
claim it more. I've given myself permission to claim it.
Oh,
Um, and so I think even that sense of like I love being in my 50s. Like each decade, people say that each decade gets better, but it really comes out of a sense of knowing myself well
mm,
and
mm.
trusting myself and trusting that I have dear people, including you, who are what my friend Heather Adams calls them her uh, board of directors. It's the
Oh, yeah.
people who pour into her, people who pour into me who help me maintain that perspective.
Oh, beautiful. I just like that is such a beautiful claiming that your strength, confidence, presence, your ability to guide others in leading a life that
Mhm.
is grounded because life is crazy. You've dealt with plenty of your
Yes,
own.
yes,
And so you've done the work of how to do that. And I know it's sounds like a small thing, but it's not a small thing to say, I like myself.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I'm thinking, Sally, even as you talk about, life can be a lot. There's always things coming at us. Um,
Mhm.
I don't do this perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody else, I'm a work in progress. But what I've learned to notice certain patterns, certain internal messages a lot sooner, and I've
Mm.
learned um, how to remember what's not true or what's maybe only true in this moment and not big picture, right? It's
Yeah.
like you learn to navigate those moments where you don't feel calm and centered,
Yeah.
uh, and really you learn to put them in perspective much more quickly.
Okay. So, how have you done that? Because, I mean, on the outside, and this is true for all of us, it always looks like, oh, we've got it all together. Jeanne, you walk in the room and you're like, I always say, like, you are royalty. You move like royalty. You have like this presence of, um, trust me, I'm in
Mhm.
charge and you can trust me. I bring all the wisdom and guidance. Like, it's such a powerful presence. It's so beautiful. But how you said, like, I have cultivated it. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what some of those tools are that I know you
Yes.
talk a lot about with other women? I mean, we named
Mhm.
this permission to rest,
Mhm.
and I have a feeling those things are connected. So, what are
Yes.
some hows for us?
Where I would start is and this is where I start with my clients. This is where I start. So I currently serve as a pastor in a small church, and as we're figuring things out in community, this is where we're starting. And we start with noticing. We
Mm,
start with paying attention. So in our lives, we're noticing, okay, how do I feel? We're noticing patterns of
mm,
emotions or patterns of responses. We're noticing things that are unexpected or that delight
mm,
us. We're noticing, frankly, like what's my body saying to me?
mm,
What is like just a couple of weeks ago, I'd had a really intense few weeks of all just amazing things, and I pushed myself. Um, I made some intentional choices that I was going to push myself, but I got to the end, and I was physically spent.
mm.
Um, Interestingly, in times past, I would have also been, emotionally, spiritually, mentally spent. And it
Yeah.
turned out my body was just like, you need to stop, you need to rest, you need to sleep, and you need to
Mm,
read like a mindless novel that's just
Yeah.
purely going to entertain you and
Yeah.
take you away. And
Yeah.
so when we start to notice, all right, well, what am I seeing? Am I noticing that um, I'm impatient and things are coming out sideways?
Mhm.
Am I noticing that, oh, when I do this, I have an extra spring in my step? Am I,
Mm.
so we start to notice and then we piece together the patterns, and that becomes information that we use to guide our choices, that we use to be like, oh, okay, I recognize where this is and I know what to do from here, even if I'm feeling really stressed.
Right, right, right.
That Go ahead. It's
Well, I was just gonna say, yesterday I've just had this very like a low vibe week, and which doesn't happen a lot for me, but when it
yes,
does happen, I feel like it's really kind of just amped up.
yeah.
And I, my friend Jen Whitmer, Jen,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yay,
Jen,
Jen.
yay, Jen. So I think Jen maybe sensed it or something. She said, "What do you need? Do you need a do you need a snack? Do you need a nap? Do you need it?" She's
Yeah.
like, "A dance party," and I said, "That is what I need. I need a 30-second dance party." And so I pulled out my little button, my little 30-second
Yes.
dance party button, and I just literally 30 seconds. And I think I had to get
Yes.
out of my thinking, get out of my head and move. And I know we're talking about what you do after you notice, but I needed her
Yes.
prompt from me to even say, "What do
Yes.
you need?" What
Yeah. Well,
uh,
because like, honestly, we forget, or we think, well, what it is what it is. And in those moments, we forget that we have agency, we have like other tools to draw us in. I mean, Sally, I'll tell you what, uh, last week, in my 2 days of just really recovering, at one point my dog Ruby came and kind of pawed at the side of the bed. And I was like, oh, she either wants to go out or she wants up on the bed. So I got up and she kind of ran away from me. I'm like, Ruby. And then I so I followed her, and then she ran away again, and she wanted to play. And I'll tell you, once I
mm,
figured that out,
mm,
like, I figured it out because I started to laugh. I
yeah.
just couldn't help myself, I started to laugh. So
Mm,
sometimes the noticing, Sally, is noticing that, "Oh, I didn't know I needed that." Like, somebody
mhm,
enters in a way, and you feel yourself, you respond, and it's like, "Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
oh, okay."
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm always appreciative because I think one of the things that I'm growing in, and that is a struggle for me, and I think this is true for a lot of highly driven
Yeah.
people, people like achievement focused. I'm an Enneagram 7, but and some days I'm like, am I a 3? Am I like, because I'm just big dreams, big
Yep.
goals, go, go,
Yep.
go. That I ignore the
Yes.
need for the sake of just going and keep going. Like, I can keep going. I can
Yes.
move, I can trudge through hard
Yes.
stuff, which you can do for a while, and then, you
And
know,
then you can.
you're yeah. And then you have to cocoon or your body shuts down or you get sick or.
Yeah, but don't you think, I don't think that's just an Enneagram 3 thing
Yeah.
or an Enneagram 7, I don't wanna miss out thing.
Yeah.
I think in
Yeah.
some ways we as women are trained to keep going and keep pouring out
Yeah.
for I
Oh.
mean, in our culture, to keep
Yep.
pouring out, to be able to do this, to also do this, to do this, and we gotta handle
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And and my husband Andrew and I, we had this is Memorial Day weekend coming up, and we had a conversation. Do we go to the lake for a few days and just claim some downtime? That would
Mm.
be really great because we've had a really busy stretch of weeks. And again, all good things, but it's just been full. Or do we stay home and try to check a bunch of things off the list because we have a goal of kind of getting some things in order before we do our end of school year pool party so
Yeah.
that then we can just enjoy the summer, right? We
Mhm.
feel the tension of it. And it's so easy to say, well, I'm just going to keep going. But what
Yeah.
we miss out on, Sally, when we just keep going, is we miss out on rest, the
Mm.
downtime that frankly our body, our mind, our spirit needs to be really generative and creative. And we miss out on the replenishment of
Mm.
what actually fills us up. I was
Mm.
talking to someone at a conference recently who's a very like high power, high capacity professional woman. And she's like, I made a change this year. I went from like I would anytime I was reading business books, self-improvement things. It had to be something that was going to help me be more productive or be more whatever. And she said, I switched this year and I started reading fiction just for the sake of enjoyment. And she said that switch alone has dramatically impacted her creativity and her imagination, her sense of possibility
Mm.
in the work that she's doing and how she's serving clients. Like she made that correlation. But we forget how uh, the shift in our rhythm and experiment in a way that is really holding space for rest, for replenishment, for joy, for delight, reaps all sorts of benefits beyond the benefit of I'm checking this other thing off my list, or I'm just going to keep going in what I know.
Yeah. Okay. So Erica just chimed in and said, same for me. I only read for fun, not for learning, because my brain needs a break.
Well done, Erica.
Oh,
I
well
love
done,
that.
Erica. Love it.
Yay.
Yeah, I've decided I've made this switch in like I love listening to podcasts and I need the fuel. I need the brain fuel, sometimes the inspiration fuel, the strategy fuel
Yep.
even.
Yep.
But if I cannot go to bed
Mm-hmm.
listening to something that requires my
Yes.
brain, that is
Yep.
like all fiction, dreamy,
Yep.
romantic, no, what's it called? Romanticy?
Romanticy. Absolutely.
Yes, please, romanticy. I'm not gonna lie.
Absolutely.
So good. But we do. Our brain needs a break. So, okay, so we've talked about the noticing. We notice, and we've started
Hmm.
talking about a few tools of like finding the things um, that delight or bring you
Yes.
joy. What are
Hmm.
some other tools that are helpful for us after we've noticed?
Okay. So I think it's really helpful to do some intentional reflection
Mm,
around what I call our life giving essentials, right?
mm,
So to have a clear sense of what is it that does replenish our mental, emotional, physical, spiritual reserves and resources. I
mm,
have a client, for example, who we did some work together at the end of the year. She's a spiritual mentoring client, and so we've had conversations over time. But when I asked her what was most essential going into 2024, she listed four things. So she listed time with her boys and her husband, time together as a family. She named taking care of her body, like so feeding it
mhm,
well, uh, exercising, moving, everything, working and serving out of her giftedness,
mm,
and then being intentional about rest and downtime and replenishment.
mm, mm.
Because she was clear on that, Sally, it's easier for her to then translate that to, okay, is this showing up in my calendar? Am I blocking out time for this? Am I making these things a priority? Because again, when I when I'm willing to hold space for these things, the the positive impacts just ripple and ripple and ripple.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. Um, I I I feel that deeply, like, just getting clear on and that is not a strength of mine for sure, because it's sort of a go, go, go situation,
Yes.
and, AJ just commented, and I appreciate this so much, I can't stay
Yeah.
focused long enough to read a book anymore. I feel like brain wandering. I feel this deeply, AJ, thank you for commenting,
Yeah.
because truly and sometimes I'm like, is it menopause? Is it that my life is chaotic? Is it that I'm getting Alzheimer's? Like, do I have ADHD? I mean, I literally,
Yeah.
uh, I from as I talk to other women, especially women business owners and entrepreneurs, we feel this like pull, 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 pull.
Yeah.
So, how do we work with our brain? What are some things we can do specifically with our brain to dial down the
Mhm.
chaotic thinking and help us show up with a little more focus to create space for things like reading a book, you know?
Absolutely. Well, first, honestly, I would say maybe reading a book isn't your thing in this season.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's, "Oh, I probably should be reading a book, but I just don't have it in me to read a book." Then my question
Mm,
would be, well, like, what do you have capacity for? What does give you joy?
mm,
What like, I think it's really important for us to remove, the shoulds in this, the other people's
mm,
expectations, and and again, really claim what's ours. Uh,
mm.
Again, this is back to the permission
Yeah.
slip concept. I I give myself permission to not have those core things be defined what I think it should be or what other people's expectations are.
Yeah.
But back to your question, Sally, the simplest practice to start that kind of inner knowing and to calm down
Mm,
is
mm,
simply breathing.
mm.
And I don't just mean like, you know, I if you sit or stand in a way where you feel supported and held, you
Yeah.
close your eyes because it just helps
Mm,
again the focus. You take a deep breath in, deep and slow. You pause for a moment, you release it. And if you do that a few times, what starts to
mm.
happen is you feel some shifts in your body. You feel your shoulders drop. You feel your heart rate
Yeah.
slow. You you become present to the moment,
Mm,
and in that presence, then we can ask the question. A simple question like, what do I really need right now?
mm,
And I can guarantee you the things that pop into your head, pay attention. Pay
mm.
attention because uh those are important clues to what you actually need.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. AJ, I really appreciate AJ says, I definitely need more breathing. And
Same.
it sounds so simple, but it is really powerful. And I use it as like a pre when I'm overly anxious, like before a
Yes.
big talk or something, I'm like,
Yes.
whoo, so much breathing. But I love what you're talking about, which is no, this is a daily practice, a daily
Mhm,
check in to get
mhm.
clear with ourselves about what we need right now.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not reading, and maybe it's not a dance party. Maybe it's a
For some
snack.
people, it might be reading and it might be a dance party, but
Yeah.
it might be going and digging in the dirt in the garden, or
Mm,
it might be um I don't know, I'm looking out the window and just seeing nature. It might just simply
yeah.
be going out and going for a walk
Oh,
for 5 minutes.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Mm,
but I think it is also helpful to pay attention to the patterns of like what are your cues that you are in like you're feeling like stressed, dysregulated, uncomfortable. So earlier I
yeah.
mentioned, okay, if I'm noticing that I'm impatient and things are coming out sideways, um, or I'm like super teary and can't find my words, right?
Mm,
Like, okay, I, I need to just stop for a minute and figure out
mm,
what's going on.
yeah.
Um,
Beautiful.
but we all have our own cues. It might be when I'm filling up my calendar and I'm filling up my calendar and I'm not giving my space to rest to stop and be like, why am I uncomfortable with the margin? Or
Yeah.
why do I need to fill this up in this moment?
And those are big questions because
Yeah.
what we're digging into in those questions are age old, like
Yeah.
long time, probably embedded in us
Yep.
as tiny people,
Yes.
beliefs that we're trying to untangle because they're no
Yes.
longer serving us
Yes.
in this. And it's big, hard work. So I just want to give a shout out to Jeanne. One of my favorite things that Jeanne has created,
Oh,
and I'm
yay.
just going to pull it out and show it because it's beautiful. Pardon me while I pull it out of my backpack. Oh, it's a planner.
Yay.
Jeanne made this planner specifically for me, and I love it so much. It's so beautiful. And so, Jeanne, are these for sale yet? Are you working on them?
Soon. Yeah,
Soon.
soon.
Okay.
Mhm.
So be on the lookout. It is I've used all kinds of different planners. I love it so much. It holds everything. Like I had a brilliant moment the other day, and now I know it's in here. I had a brilliant moment the other day. Listen to me just like pat
Of
myself on the
course you
back.
did. Of course you did. And
And it
you'll
was
remember what it is because you put it in your planner.
yes. It's not like on a random piece of paper somewhere. And part of what is embedded in this are some of the things that Jean's talking about
Yes.
is time and space. I'm not super consistent about it yet,
Yep.
but I'm starting to get into the practice of sitting down and thinking and reflecting. Some people are so good at doing that. It's
Yes.
never been something I've been very good at. So I'm working on it, and this is helping.
Well, I'm so glad, Sally. And here's the thing. Um, like I'm real good at reflecting. I can reflect myself until the end of time and not actually do anything.
Okay,
Right? So like
we're gonna meet
we'll
in the
come
middle.
we'll come and we'll meet in the middle. And so part of what I as I designed the planner was I wanted to have kind of a rhythm of reflection. So in the contemplative Christian tradition, across the centuries, there's a practice called the examen, which is just a
Mhm.
thoughtful looking back on the recent day or week or however
Yeah.
much time, and surprise, noticing, like seeing what you notice. And so I wanted to build that into the planner, both
Yeah.
kind of we do what we call a weekly reorientation and
Mm,
just a daily check-in because that is it's a tool that helps you actually do the noticing and then translate that in a way that helps you integrate it into how you are working
yeah.
and moving day in and day out.
It's so, so good. So just shout out. Shout out to Jean.
Yay.
The practices are built into this, and very soon she's going to start selling them. So be on the
I am.
lookout.
And I'll say
Okay, Jean, talk to us about your. I'm sorry. Did you want to?
no,
You want to?
you go ahead and then we might be going the same place.
Okay. Well, I wanted to
Yeah.
point people to.
Yeah.
Okay, good. You've built a special pathway to resting more this summer. So tell
Yeah.
us about this, and people can grab it right there at that QR code.
Yes. So the other night I did a webinar that's really about what I call living a reservoir mindset. It's
Mm,
about having a mindset for holding space for what fills us up, what replenishes us, so that uh, you know, hard things come or it gets really busy or a season, like all of these things, we have the internal resources to respond really thoughtfully and without just pouring ourselves out completely. So we did a summertime version of this. So if you scan that QR code or you go to cultivatingsanctuary.com/permission, you'll fill out the little form and we'll send the replay to your email and we'll send you the handout, which will guide you through the questions to help you get a sense of the different elements of the reservoir mindset, which works for summer and works all year round. You'll also see a little preview of the planner. If you do that, then you'll be on the list as I release it to get some more information.
Oh my
So,
gosh, I love this. I hope everybody grabs it. I'm gonna go grab it. I ironically meant to be there the other night and then it was my oldest birthday. So everything went haywire and it was fine. But this is why I need more Jeanne in my life to help
Well,
me
and then
continue to
and you
create
can
space to rest.
yes, and you can spend the time honoring your oldest birthday, which is very important. Like that's an important part of your life. And then you get
Yeah.
the replay and you can follow along and still have the joy.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So everybody grab that cultivatingsanctuary.com/permission. And before I let you go, Jeanne, since you're all in on this permission
I'm all
community, the
in.
permission idea, what is the next big permission slip that you are giving yourself?
Um, Permission to really treat my business like a business.
Oh,
Yeah.
what does that
It,
mean for
it's,
you?
uh, I, I think I've been treating it like a hobby. Like it's something I love, I'll
Mm,
do, I'll give it away. And
mm.
that's really fun. Like I love the serving, I love that. And also I it's valuable and it serves people and so it should serve my family too.
Oh,
And so to really kind of permission to own that identity
yes.
of of a competent, more than competent business owner who's serving well through her business.
This is what Erica feels about this. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Oh my gosh, Jeanne, it is so delightful to have you here. Thank you for being all in with us.
Oh
Thank
my
you for
gosh.
everything that you bring to the communities that you are in. You are such a wise, powerful,
Mm.
dare I say, a royal guide. She's royally amazing. It's so good. Okay, Jane, here's how we end this. Just so you
Yes.
know, we dance. All right, we
Okay.
dance and then we'll wrap it up. Are you ready? Here we
I'm
go.
so ready.